Number 15. The Masqueraders. 1-minute version. The Masqueraders were one of those groups who had everything. Harmonies as smooth as velvet, Memphis soul grit, and the blessing of legends like Isaac Hayes. By the early 70s, everyone thought they were about to explode. Their 1975 single, Everybody Wanna Live On, had that perfect blend of Southern soul emotion and polished studio magic. It should have been their breakout moment, but timing was cruel. Just as their sound was peaking, disco crashed onto the scene like a tidal wave. Labels shifted their attention to high-energy acts, and High Records put almost all its weight behind Al Green. The Masqueraders, despite their talent, slipped through the cracks. Their voices could move a room, but the industry moved on without them. So the group kept singing anywhere they could, small venues, regional gigs, and whatever stages were left for forgotten soul men. Most fans never knew how close they came to stardom. Their master tapes sat untouched for decades, gathering dust while the world changed. And then, in a twist no one saw coming, they resurfaced on America's Got Talent many years later. Older, wiser, but with harmonies still sharp enough to stop time. For a brief moment, the world finally saw what the industry had overlooked. The Masqueraders weren't just a group. They were a reminder of how many great voices disappear, simply because the world was too busy to listen. Number 14. Sylvia, the label queen. The industry tried to erase. Before she helped change music forever, Sylvia Robinson was already a soul powerhouse. Most people today remember her as the woman behind Sugar Hill Records and Rapper's Delight. But long before hip-hop, Sylvia was crafting her own slow-burning masterpieces. In the early 70s, she released Pillow Talk, a sensual, whisper-smooth groove that pushed R&B into bold, intimate territory. Her voice was soft, seductive, and fearless, a sound way ahead of its time. The song was a hit, but the industry didn't know what to do with a woman who could sing, write, produce, and run a label. And that's where her story shifted. While Sylvia was shaping the future of black music from behind the scenes, her own artistry as a soul singer quietly faded into the background.
Formerly with the Delphonics, our next guest has us all in a frenzy.
Number 13. Major Harris, the falsetto too beautiful for the world. Major Harris didn't just sing love songs. He floated through them. In 1975, he delivered one of the smoothest Quiet Storm classics ever recorded, Love Won't Let Me Wait. A falsetto so soft, so intimate, it felt like perfume drifting across a summer night. But behind that velvet voice was a man sinking fast. Sun, creep through your window pane. Major came from the same musical family tree as the Delphonics, meaning he carried that Philly soul magic in his DNA. But after his breakout hit, everything around him began to crumble. Labels shifted focus, disco took over, and the industry suddenly had no patience for slow, tender ballads. He had one masterpiece, and instead of lifting him higher, it caged him. He spent the rest of his career touring tiny venues, underpaid, overlooked, and constantly introduced as the guy who sang that one song. Number 12. Linda Jones, the voice that could have ruled soul. Linda Jones didn't sing, she erupted. Her 1972 classic, Hypnotized, was pure gospel fire wrapped in soul, the kind of voice that could lift you, shake you, and break you in the same breath. People said she was the only young singer who could stand toe-to-toe with Aretha, but Linda carried a secret battle.
I climbed the highest mountain. You know something, ladies and gentlemen, you could even go as far.
Behind that explosive voice was a body constantly failing her. She suffered from diabetes in an era when the disease was misunderstood and poorly treated. She pushed through the pain, performing night after night, giving the audience everything she had, even when her health begged her to rest. Then tragedy struck. After a show in 1972, Linda slipped into a diabetic coma and never woke up.
And this is what I say when I call for my man. I especially want you ladies to listen.
Number 11. Al Wilson, the smooth soulman the industry let slip away. Al Wilson had a superpower. He could make any room feel warm just by opening his mouth. His 1973 classic Show and Tell became one of the most beloved soul ballads of the decade, silky, emotional, and perfect for late-night radio. With that buttery baritone and California cool charm, he should have been a household name for years. But the industry had other plans. After that huge hit, Al found himself battling something deadly to any artist: labels that didn't care. His follow-up projects were barely promoted. Radio moved on, and the rise of new trends pushed him to the sidelines, while singers with half his talent took his spot. Yet Al never stopped. He toured small clubs, recorded whenever he could, smiled through frustration, and kept delivering that soft, timeless soul his fans loved. Number 10. Walter Jackson, the voice that outsang his circumstances. Walter Jackson had a voice so rich, so emotional, so perfectly controlled, that people assumed he had the easiest path in the world. They had no idea. Struck by polio as a child, Walter spent his life walking with braces. And in the image-obsessed music industry, labels didn't know what to do with a disabled soul singer, no matter how incredible he sounded. And we'll let pride. But Walter refused pity. He walked into the booth and delivered ballads like "It's All Over" and "Feelings" with a depth that could stop a room. His voice carried heartbreak, honesty, and power without ever needing to shout. He should have been a superstar. Instead, he fought an industry that didn't see past his braces, missed bookings because venues weren't accessible, and watched lesser singers climb the ladder he built. Number 9. Betty Wright, the cleanup woman who cleaned up everyone but herself. Betty Wright burst onto the scene at just 17 years old, and she didn't tiptoe in. She exploded. Clean Up Woman wasn't just a hit. It was a warning, an anthem, and a whole attitude wrapped in one fiery groove. Her voice was sharp, fearless, and wise beyond her years. And while the world danced, Betty was quietly building something bigger behind the scenes. She became a mentor, a vocal coach, a producer, a one-woman engine who helped shape artists from Beyoncé to Joss Stone, often without ever taking the spotlight for herself. But the industry can be cruel to women who stand tall. Radio cooled, labels shifted. Her own projects got pushed aside while she helped everyone else shine. And when she battled cancer later in life, she did it the same way she approached music, quietly, bravely, without complaint. Number 8. Brenda and the Tabulations, Sweet Soul Lost in the Shuffle. Brenda Payton had a voice you don't forget, light, tender, and aching with emotion. Her group, Brenda and the Tabulations, carved their space in the early Philadelphia soul scene with songs that felt like quiet confessions. Their biggest moment came with Right on the Tip of My Tongue. A soft, shimmering heartbreaker wrapped in strings and gentle harmonies. It was the kind of song that made you stop mid-drive and just feel. But Philly soul was changing, fast. Bigger acts like the OJs and Teddy Pendergrass were rising, backed by huge labels and deep budgets. Brenda's softer, more intimate style slowly got pushed to the sidelines. Number 7. Donny Hathaway, the genius who heard too much. Donny Hathaway wasn't just a singer. He was a force of nature. A voice so warm and so full of truth that songs like A Song for You and Someday We'll All Be Free feel almost sacred. But behind that heavenly sound was a man fighting storms no one could see. In the 70s, Donny's career soared. Duets with Roberta Flack, legendary live performances, and songwriting that touched the soul.
Have you ever considered accompanying any singer other than yourself?
Yet his biggest battle wasn't fame. It was paranoid schizophrenia. He heard voices. He felt watched. Even in the studio, he often believed people were trying to harm him. Still, he created masterpieces. His voice carried hope, even when his mind carried fear. But the illness got worse. Sessions became difficult. Friends worried. And in 1979, Donny Hathaway was found dead outside the Essex House Hotel in New York. Number 6. Bobby Womack, the survivor who paid the price. Bobby Womack lived a life louder, messier, and more heartbreaking than almost any soul singer of his era. A protege of Sam Cooke, he had everything: songwriting brilliance, a gritty voice full of fire, and the honesty to sing pain like it was a confession. But Bobby's story wasn't just talent, it was controversy. After Sam Cooke's death, Bobby married his widow just months later, and the world never forgave him. Radio turned cold, fans turned their backs, and Bobby carried that weight for decades. Still, he kept singing. Songs like Across 110th Street and Harry Hippie became street anthems, raw, real, and unforgettable. He poured every mistake, every heartbreak, every scar straight into the music. But behind the stage lights, his life was spiraling. Number 5. Howard Tate, lost to addiction, reborn. Too late. Howard Tate had one of those voices that hits you instantly. Raw, gospel-soaked, and packed with feeling. With producer Jerry Ragavoy behind him, he delivered classics like Get It While You Can, the kind of soul records that could lift a room or break a heart. Janis Joplin covered him, critics praised him, musicians admired him, but the world barely noticed. Girl, I used to love you. Behind the scenes, Howard Tate was fighting demons, addiction, depression, and years of bad luck that pushed him further and further from the spotlight. By the late 70s, he vanished completely. People assumed he had died. Instead, he was working odd jobs, battling homelessness, and trying to survive a life far removed from the stages he once commanded. Then, decades later, out of nowhere, Howard Tate came back, clean. Number 4. Zulema, a powerful voice that never found a home.
Joining us tonight on our excursion will be Black Heat, with special guest artist David New.
Zulema Kosso, known simply as Zulema, had a voice built for stardom, strong, velvety, unmistakably soulful. She first shined with the group Faith, Hope, and Charity. But when she stepped out on her own in the mid-70s, people thought a new soul queen had arrived. Her 1975 track, Wanna Be Where You Are, had it all. A little disco, a little gospel fire, and pure R&B heart. She performed on Soul Train, opened shows for Aretha Franklin, and carried herself like someone who belonged among the greats. But the industry didn't know where to place her. Zulema bounced between labels, RCA, Sussex, Leeds Group, never getting the stable support she needed. Her music crossed genres at a time when labels wanted artists to stay in one lane, so instead of celebrating her range, they sidelined her. Number 3. Billy Preston, the fifth Beatle, who lost his way. My sweet Lord. Billy Preston wasn't just a musician, he was a force. His keys lit up songs like Get Back with the Beatles. He tore through stages with Ray Charles. And in the 70s, he delivered solo hits like Out of Space and Will It Go Round in Circles. He had the smile, the talent, the genius. But behind that brilliance was a man carrying deep scars. Billy survived an abusive childhood he rarely talked about. He fought through addiction, manipulation from people he trusted, and an industry that celebrated him, as long as he stayed in the background. When he tried to shine as a solo star, labels didn't know how to market him. He wasn't polished enough for pop, not smooth enough for R&B, and too soulful to fit the mold. Number 2. Curtis Mayfield. The Prophet Struck Down. Curtis Mayfield wasn't just a singer. He was a visionary. From People Get Ready to the Superfly soundtrack, Curtis gave Black America a voice of pride, struggle, and hope. His featherlight falsetto carried messages the world wasn't always ready to hear, and yet, people listened. He was soul music's quiet prophet. But in 1990, tragedy shattered everything. During an outdoor concert in Brooklyn, a massive lighting rig collapsed mid-show, crashing down onto Curtis and paralyzing him from the neck down. In an instant, the man who moved the world could no longer move himself. Most artists would have stopped. Curtis didn't. He recorded again, lying flat on his back, because sitting upright stopped him from breathing. No guitar in his hands, just his voice. Fragile, but still wise, still defiant. But the industry that once praised him slowly went silent. Number 1. David Ruffin, the voice that broke the Temptations, and himself. David Ruffin wasn't just a singer. He was the sound of pain, passion, and pure soul. That raspy cry on My Girl, the desperate longing in Ain't Too Proud to Beg, the storm inside I Wish It Would Rain. Nobody could sing Heartbreak like David Ruffin. But behind that powerhouse voice was a man fighting battles no spotlight could hide.
Ooh, you're clinging to me tighter.
After clashing with the Temptations over ego, missed shows, and fame he couldn't control, David was pushed out of the group in 1968. He tried to rebuild with a solo career, and for a moment, he did. Walk Away from Love became a huge hit, but nothing ever reached the heights he had with the Temps, and the 70s were unkind. David fell deep into cocaine addiction, legal trouble, and long periods of isolation.